Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Wyant, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Applied Software Graytech Group. You're invited to join our conversation to model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation adventure of this great industry. My guest today is Rob Bonifacio. He's the owner and operator of Bonifabcustom. For the last 8 years, he has been teaching college-level trades, machining and welding, as well as sharing trade content to over 250,000 followers on social media under the handle Bonifabcustom. Welcome to the show, Rob. And apologies if I butchered the last name. Was I anywhere in the ballpark?
Yeah, no, you're
Okay.
close. That's close enough.
How do you actually say it?
Bonifacio.
Bonifacio.
Bonifacio,
Okay.
yeah.
I like it. So how did you get into the industry?
Well, it was a long time ago. I actually had an opportunity to work in the trades when I was about 19 years old. And then luckily I took that opportunity, and it was as an apprentice mold maker, which is basically the high end on machining side.
Uh-huh.
And I got into that, and I had this opportunity, and then I just went with it. And ever since then, it's been about 30 years in that type of industry with fabrication, machining, welding, all kinds of things like that. And then I basically did it on my own after that, after I did my apprenticeship, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So what about it gripped you at a young age to say, yeah, this is not only pretty cool, but I really want to make a career out of it?
So to tell you the truth, so I really started looking into it. I was a semi-professional motorcycle racer at one point when I was young. And if you know anything about motorcycle racing, it gets expensive because there's a lot of parts that are custom made. And I kind of used this to my advantage when I was looking into the trade, that I could do this inexpensively if I learned the trade, how to make things, right? So that's really what I did. I kind of got into it because I wanted to build parts for myself, and the only way to do that was to kind of learn the trades. So because I did that, I was able to do a lot more racing and build my own parts. And what happened after that was, I started building parts. I was working for somebody, and I got good at making parts. And people were looking at, he's racing, he's good at racing. What's his advantage? So it was all my parts I was making, among other things. So I started making parts on the side, kind of like it was my side job.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it just got out of control. So I ended up, buying my own machine, put it into my garage, and I was building parts on the side. And then eventually, years later, I was just, so busy with, building my own parts and things like that, selling them, that I ended up, quitting my job and starting my own company. And that's what I did at first, was basically build motorcycle parts for a living.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah.
So do you still get out and race?
Probably the last time I've been out was about 3 years ago, and I went with my son-in-law, and I actually crashed at there's a track in Canada, in Toronto, Canada, called Mossport, and it's a really fast course, and I actually crashed there, and then nothing happened. I didn't hurt myself or anything, and after that I was like, yeah, maybe I should stop the racing and the track days and things like that. So I kind of, after that, we got more into something a little bit safer, go-kart racing. So,
Nice.
I could still build parts and we can still have fun. So I got more into that, and that's about what I do now.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
At least you have an outlet of some kind still.
That's right. Yeah. It has to be something, right?
I like it. I like it. So you get a new project. Walk me through what's your process? Because I've seen your work on Instagram, and it's amazing what you can do.
Like,
So I'd love to kind of hear that journey of process from getting the new project all the way into to finishing it.
so I like to, especially if there's an issue. So say if I'm trying to figure out something, how I go about it. I'll do some research, and instead of kind of like, looking at someone else's, um, how they kind of went through an issue on something they're making, instead of kind of taking that idea and just making it myself, which I could, I always like to come at an approach of doing something totally different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't someone think of this way, right? So I'll do that research. I like to do sketching, and then after my sketches, that I like to kind of develop something.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll start making, say, a CAD file of it, like a 3D thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll 3D print it and try it out. And then once I get through that kind of that beginning process of having it physical in my hand, then I will actually make it. Like say, if there's casting involved and machining and some other type of fabrication, I'll do it also. And that would be my first off prototype.
Interesting. Well, what's your favorite part of that process along the way?
Um, it's doing the prototype and hopefully having it work. That's my that process or that end result. Not the production, but the prototype and kind of figuring that out is like, that's what I look forward to,
Yeah.
really.
So like bringing all the ideas to life
R-
in that
right. To seeing a
early version.
real physical, yeah, like seeing it all come together and kind of work out, hopefully.
Yeah,
Right.
you're right.
You
Or
you can
not, and
only
you
be
learn
hopeful.
from it.
Right. Right. And that's what it is. I kind of over engineer things so that I wouldn't have as much failure. Um, so I give it a lot of thought, and sometimes
Uh-huh.
even coming up with a project, or thinking of a process. Um, if I can't think of it right away, I like to give it some time, and it's always on the back of my mind, and it always seems to be like to work out that if I give it that time, I come up with a better solution. I don't know what it is. It's subconsciously I'm thinking about it,
Mhm.
but it seems to work out like that if I give it some time.
Mhm. So that's really interesting. How do you uh, maybe dial back the pressure then of having to get it, quickly on like you're on a deadline. You're trying to just kind of cram it
Right.
in and make it work as fast as
It
you can, but still have a good product.
Then that would require no sleep. Really. I once had this project. I've never so I got this job to do some mandrel bending. So mandrel bending is a type of bending of, say, a tubing that you're supporting the inside, you're supporting the outside, so you don't get any kinks in the tubing.
Mhm.
Now, at the time, I've never done mandrel bending, but I took on a job of mandrel bending, a certain project, and I always like that. I like that, you know, uh, that trying to overcome something I've never done, right?
Mhm.
And because of that, and this was a big task. So, and I was on a timeline too, and basically, I just it was like no sleep for like 3-4 days, honestly, trying different things to try and get this thing to work. Because I knew the concept of it, but the actual the specifics of it, nobody could tell me, or I couldn't find because no one did this type of bending before.
Mhm.
So I had to just, trial and error. That's just what it is. And I just kept at it. And finally, thankfully, it came through. So it actually worked in the end. So, which was good. But I did almost give up, but giving up was not an option. That's just, so I just had to do it.
Right.
So when it comes down to it, like, I've been known to not sleep, which is not good for you, but I've been known to like work many hours, long hours, to try and get things done, projects and things like that, so.
Yeah. So what sparked your desire to really share your passion for the trades with others across social media? Because I think it's really cool. One of the kind of things that I say a lot is there's a marketing problem here in construction because a lot of people aren't doing what you're doing of sharing all
That's
the
right.
cool stuff that's going on and what you're actually doing on a day-to-day job. So what really sparked that desire to share?
So it's really simple. It's because other people aren't sharing, and I couldn't find the answers to what I wanted,
Mhm.
right? Certain processes and certain things, how to make things happen, in a fabrication sense. That sparked me to share more, right? So I was like, well, there's no one else doing it. Why aren't they doing that? The only way things are going to move ahead, or we're going to get new ideas or new processes, is by sharing, right? And someone else is going to take a little bit of your idea or a little bit of someone else's idea and put those together, and they're going to have a different thought on how to do it, and hopefully they're going to share also, and that's just going to make things progress, sooner and faster, right? The more we
Mhm.
can share and the more we can um, share. So I thought that what's the best way of sharing that's free and really brings the world, makes the world a smaller place, is social media, right? So I've never done it before up until about 2.5 years ago. And then I just, took it upon myself to start sharing and meeting people and putting out my ideas and my thoughts and stuff like that on processes and stuff. And it really, um, and it really expanded kind of my thoughts on how to share and stuff like that. And like that, after that, I really promoted to students that I had, and they did the same things, right? So I don't know. I think that's really what motivated me, is to kind of, because no one else is doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love taking action into your own
Right.
hands there. What's the reaction been and the response been with, you said there wasn't a lot of people sharing what you're actually sharing. So uh, have people been reaching back out to you of like, hey, thanks
Yes.
so much for posting. This is exactly what we were
Yes.
wanting.
Yes. Yeah. And the majority of it was all positive, but you always get that little bit of, negativity. And at first, it kind of bothered me a little bit, but I had a friend of mine that was into the social media, and he said, "Well, that's a small part. Don't make those things drive you down, or not, or stop sharing, right?" And that's all it is. I'm just
Yeah.
sharing, right? I'm not putting my opinion out there, or saying I'm the right, I'm the best, and whatnot, right? So once you get over that, the little bit of negativity, as long as that doesn't bother you, then the rest of it was great, because there was a lot of people reaching out and wanting to know how to do things and wanted my opinion on certain things, which was great. So, and I did the same
Yeah.
thing. I wanted to know. I followed people that had the same interest, and tried to promote those things too, right? So.
Yeah. Very cool. I'm always amazed that the people that really do go very negative
Oh yeah.
on social and attacking for somebody's opinion. You're like,
Yeah.
that's just their opinion. You don't have to agree with them. You don't even have
Yeah.
to follow them if
Yeah.
you don't like them.
It,
Just don't follow them and
yeah,
move
it's
on with
it's
your life.
actually very sad. I to and I don't understand it myself, but to go out of your way to put someone down that you don't know, and that's putting out something just to share, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. It's a sad thing
Yeah.
that a person can do that, you know. But we don't know what's going on in the person's life or whatever. Like, so, you know, it's best. not to reply to that or erase those messages or whatever. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So, kind of take me back to those early days of really developing your social presence. You said you hadn't done a lot on social. So, what was it like really building that? And uh, did you set out to kind of become an influencer on social? Was that the
N-
goal, or
It
what
was
was the
it was honestly
original
it was
goal?
kind of like a dare thing. Um, yeah, it was
Oh
funny
yeah.
because I one day I said to my wife, okay, I'm watching a lot of social media. I've been watching, say YouTube and things like that. And I said, I
Hmm.
think I've done enough of watching, and I'm going to start creating, like start making things and sharing them just like everyone else's, right? And she kind of laughed and said, okay, well, you know, let's see how that's going to go, right? And I have two daughters, and they're not really into the social media thing. And I said, well, you know what? I think if someone else can do it, I'm going to do it. I've always had that type of that thought in mind that if someone else can make this, I can make it. Or not as good as they,
Yeah.
but I could do it. I could try, right? So what I did was I started, my social media accounts, and I made it a goal that I would post something every day. And I thought if I'd be consistent, I'm going to post something every day and not think about it, right? Because a lot of people, what I found, that they think a lot about it, and they think, okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to give up, right? And I thought, well, I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to post my things that I make. I'm just, this is all new to me, videotaping, and I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to do everything with my phone. I'm going to edit with my phone. I'm going to video with my phone. And if I use multiple phones, that's fine. But at least I can keep it simple by doing everything on my phone. I'm not going to spend too much time doing it. And that's what I did. And
Mm.
about a year later of posting and posting, I started getting a little bit of a following, right? And, I didn't give up. I just kept on going. And then what happened was I started going viral on a couple of platforms. And I believe it's really about consistency. You putting out videos and again, not thinking too much about it, kind of making sure that you're putting out something that, say, if it has to do with me talking about something, you can hear it well. If it's something about video, they can see it well. So then people can get a good idea of what you're trying to put out, what kind of social media, right? What kind of. So that's what
Hmm.
I did. And then, like I said, I went viral like after a few years. And then that's what got my following, was because of going viral and making sure that I still um, put out uh, good content, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I love the
yeah,
freedom that you gave yourself at the start of it, because I think that that's a common pitfall that a lot of people make is they try to
right,
over engineer it and overcomplicate it and have to have the perfect plan, and so then they get paralyzed because, oh well, is this the perfect plan,
right,
or they have so much detail that there's no way they
right,
can sustain it and actually keep it going. And that
right,
consistency is huge. It's I mean, that's with anything in life. If you want to get better at it, you got to be consistent at really practicing and
right.
honing your craft at it. So uh,
Yeah, yeah,
social
no,
media is
no,
no different.
and I really promoted it after to like students and told them, well, if
Mhm.
I can do it, if I can get a following and on social media, you can think of a plan to kind of get yourself going, especially as a young person, right? A young person has way more opportunity. They just have to take it, right? I was kind of showing that, I'm older, and, if I can do it with social media, right, from nothing, then as a young person, for sure, it's like the opportunity's there. I've seen it time and time again that people have made careers, people I know have made careers by just being consistent, putting out, content and really simple stuff. It doesn't have to be, over extravagant, right? So it's a powerful,
Mhm.
it's a powerful
Yeah.
thing. You just got to have that, that consistency and that urge to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think it is so important for people to put themselves out there and share what's actually happening in the trades and construction more broadly?
Yeah, because again, without sharing, um, we're not, we won't get that innovation, right? That like that change, especially like say as women in trades, right? The more we see, the more people or more women will want to join the trade, right? Or know
Mhm.
that, oh, I could do that. I could be involved with that, right? And what better than social media with different ones promoting those trades or promoting those careers with that, right? Like, again, it makes the world a small place, right? We can reach ones all over the world. It's unbelievable, right?
Mhm.
And you don't really notice that until you are involved with social media, right? But
Right.
yeah, it's a powerful thing. I just think that
Yeah.
yeah, I just think that more people should start at, as like and when I say social media, I mean putting out content that can benefit people or benefit others, right? And yourself, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's something really powerful about visually seeing different kinds of people doing these skills and these jobs to really kind of hit through some of
Right.
our bullheadedness, maybe of what we think the industry is. If you can, when you see it, you're like, oh well, of course, that makes total sense. It does, whoever could do this,
Exactly.
same kind of job. So I think that that video medium, there's
Right.
something just so powerful about it when
Right.
when
Right.
it's shared out there
Exactly.
in your
Exactly.
face.
Yeah, and on all on planes of like of trades, right? I follow many different trades,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's something to see somebody putting a video out of things that are happening in in different trades, right? Specifically, it's neat.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's kind of dive into bringing in some new fresh blood. It's no secret that
Yes.
there's a lack of skilled labor in the industry. So, how do we reach people outside of the industry to convince them to come on in, give construction a try?
Um, it is, and again, social media, but we need young people kind of promoting it, right? Because that's what's going to kind of bring people into that form of work, right? I
Mhm.
think I mentioned this to you. I have a son-in-law that's in construction. He builds. He used to be into like high-end tiling, and now he's into building like high-end, say, renovations, like full-on, say, man caves and garages and
Nice.
additions to homes, like, but
Yeah.
on the high-end market, right? And he's 26 years old, been doing it his whole life, and those are the type of people that can help young people kind of get that urge to want to get into those kind of trades, you know,
Hmm.
um, showing them kind of like, hey, this is what you could be doing, or this is a career you could be looking forward to, right? Um, I'm always trying to promote trades. We struggle too, even at the college, to try and get people kind of motivated to take trades, right? Because we have the school system, say the grade school system, that are not promoting trades; they're promoting university, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we start off there, maybe in the grade schools, to kind of promote and to inform young people about careers in trades, things like that, we would probably get more that would be looking forward to that once they finish, their high school, or you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's maybe less of a getting them motivated to come into the trades versus breaking down the
Right,
stigmatism that they feel that they're going to get if they go to
right,
trade school. 'Cause, at least here in the States, I'm sure it's similar up in Canada, that there's this weird perception of like, oh, you went to
right,
trade school. Well, I guess you couldn't make it in college, so
right.
you had to go to trade school. And it's like this uh, consolation prize when
Yes,
that's
yeah.
so
No, it
silly.
is.
Why is it a consolation prize? It's an equal thing. They went to trade school or they went to college. Great. What's it
You're right.
matter? I think it's awesome. Go into trade school. There's some people that are brilliant in
Yep,
the trades. Let them
yep.
go be brilliant, and they have a fantastic career and do great. So I think we, as a culture, need to do a much better job of celebrating
That's
that
true.
instead of kind of pushing it off on the side as something other and not the ideal
Right.
pathway. It's a totally
Right.
cool
Or
path.
looking down on it, or, thinking, oh, because
Mhm.
I never went to like higher education, it's not the same as, going to university, right? Um, Now,
Right.
what we've noticed in the last probably 5 years here in Canada, like Ontario, Canada, is that we've had probably 50% of our students uh, come from, say, university. So they went to
Mm.
university, got out of university, and there was nothing for them. So they thought, well, I got to do something. I got student loans to pay. So they went
Right.
back and they went into the trades. And what I've heard is basically because there was lack of work, in the field that they took in university, right? So um, yeah, so
Sure. But wouldn't it have been nice if you had caught them, you know,
right,
5 years beforehand and they didn't have to take on
right,
all that college debt and they could have just gone straight to
right,
trade school, not have the college debt and start their career
exactly,
earlier and
yeah, exactly,
have a whole lot more in
yeah,
the bank then.
yeah. It's not for everyone, right? So that's it's and again, we have a couple of programs at the school. They're called, and I'm not sure if this is the same in the U.S., but we have a pre-apprenticeship class. So we have pre-apprenticeship, say, construction. We have pre-apprenticeship welding, and pre-apprenticeship
Mm.
machine shop. And what this is you need to have no experience at all in any of those trades, right?
Mm.
So we get
Mhm.
you into school, teach you from the basics, okay, and we offer you a placement, an 8-week placement at the end of the course. So it's about a 4-month course, full time, and you come in knowing nothing, no knowledge, and then you come out basically having your level one in any of those fields, and we give you a job in that field, at least an 8-week job. And then after that, usually the students get hired on. But it's a great course
Mhm.
because if you're not sure of, like, say, if you want to get into the trades, you take a pre-apprenticeship course, which doesn't cost you anything, and you learn the trade. If you don't like it, then you don't do anything with it, right? But if you like it, I mean, you just wasted. I mean, not wasted, but you just did. It was only 4 months, right? Which is great.
Right.
And then you're in the
Yeah.
career, right? Or in the trade, right? Which is great.
That's awesome. I love
Hmm.
that. Very cool. Well, what do you think is uh, uh, the biggest area that young people should kind of think about and know beforehand before coming into the industry?
That's a good question. I would say it is a hands-on industry, right? So you have to kind of have that mindset that you're going to be doing something physical, um, Now, the extent of what you're doing, in regards to being physical, it depends on what the trade is, but at least have that in mind that you're going to be doing something, physical, mental, of course, but kind of having that mindset, having the mindset that, you have an open mind to learning new things, right? That's really important. We tell our students, they get, especially in the pre-apprenticeship course, they get kind of anxious when it comes to at the end of the course when they have to start, working. And they think, like, in their mind, they're thinking, oh, I don't know everything, right? And really, the employer only wants a couple of things. They want you to show up on time, and have an open mind to, learning new things. That's all they're asking. They're not asking, do you know how to use this tool? Do you know how to use that tool? Do you know how to calculate this? Do you know how to calculate that? No. All they're doing is they want you to make sure that, you're willing to work and learn new things. So having that mindset, I think, would be key.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very underrated skill, and that's being able to ask a question.
Right.
Because you're going to be found out if you don't know everything.
Right.
So don't try to hide it. Just say, okay, teach me. Why? How do you do this? Why
Right.
are you doing this that way? What I really appreciate about the construction industry is that, for the most part, there's exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, people, when you take that approach, are going to be more than willing to sit
Right.
down and teach you and show you why they do it that way. And they like being able to kind of pass on their knowledge.
Right.
Now you get some bad apples that are like, well, you should know that.
Right.
Put those off on the side. That's in the negative social comments section. But yeah, I think being able to ask the question is huge.
Yes.
It goes a long way.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Not being afraid to ask, for sure. And that goes further than, saying you know how to do something. If you're not sure, just looks worse, right? And not doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I say you're going to be found out anyway. So you might as well just own it and say, hey, pull them in as part of the experience and help it get the job done right, than having to do it again because you didn't do it right because you didn't know what you were actually doing.
Right. Right.
So what does innovation mean to you?
Innovation, it means finding new concepts, how to do things, and it could be anything really, but like a new way of doing something, a new, faster, better way, something that wasn't thought of, or say a new material being used without like having the ability to try new things. And it, like I said, even it comes to, say, materials that were never used for something, or developing something, that's some new process, right? That would be more like innovation for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, how do people find out more information and connect with you?
Look me up, social media, Bonifabcustom. I'm all over.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Last question for you, Rob. If I could give you all power and you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in construction, what would you choose to innovate?
Wow. So probably a new type of material, like that I would develop, a new type of material that could be used for, say, construction, like housing, that could be used, that would be like structural and cheap and available to everyone. I would like to probably innovate something like that, or build something like that. Because nowadays, I don't know if it's that much in the States, but housing is crazy. Like here in Ontario, it is
Insane.
out of hand. Like especially for young ones starting out, you cannot buy a home. You know, it's just, it's the prices of homes are just crazy, right?
Right.
And if there was something, some sort of material or something that could be, you know, structural, that would be cheap, eco-friendly, you know, that could be made, that could be used for housing, would be something that would be awesome. Now there is nothing that I know of, but hopefully, you never know. I mean, you know, all that stuff with 3D printing homes and all kinds of stuff like that, right? Like, you know, I think they're trying to come up with things, right? Things are trying to, they're trying to innovate things, right? But I think it's still
Right. Maybe in the next few years we'll see something
yeah.
more. That you know, the 3D homes that they don't look very
No,
good.
I
They're cool. It's really
yeah.
cool, but
It's a neat concept. Do I think it's practical? Probably not. But
yeah,
you never know. Maybe that's yeah,
maybe
and
one day.
maybe
Yeah.
those, you know, like I said, maybe them sharing that kind of thing will spark something in someone else, and they're going to come up with a better idea for it, right? So we don't know, but again, all that sharing, I think, good comes from it, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great way to end it. Thanks so much for coming on the
No
show,
problem.
Rob. I really appreciate the conversation and your insights and passion for the industry as well too. So keep on sharing.